everybody, and welcome to this week's exciting update on who will be our next bachelorette.
We're your hosts, Rachel and Anisha, and we are with you live with the two potential candidates for the next season of The Bachelorette.
On the right, we have Kenzie, and on the left, we have Bonnie, both exceptional women.
Today, these candidates will go through a series of tests that will help determine who the better bachelorette would be.
The first test, the hypothalamus.
Everyone knows the hypothalamus is crucial in determining who the superior woman would be for the job.
Located in the lower region of the brain below the thalamus, the hypothalamus plays many roles in both the nervous system and the endocrine system. It is known as the control center of the endocrine system because of its connections to the pituitary gland, known as the master gland.
The hypothalamus is connected to the pituitary by the hypothalamo-pituitary portal system, through which it signals the anterior pituitary to release oxytocin, the love hormone, growth hormone releasing hormone, and other hormones less relevant to this test into the bloodstream.
Let's go to Brooke to talk more in depth about a couple of the specific hormones that are involved with the hypothalamus.
Thanks, Anisha and Rachel. Today I'm going to talk about the growth hormone. I know, very exciting. First, let me give you some background. The growth hormone is a peptide hormone that stimulates growth, cell reproduction, and cell regeneration by stimulating protein synthesis and increasing fat breakdown to provide energy for tissue growth. It starts off with the growth hormone releasing hormone in the hypothalamus, which initiates the synthesis and secretion of the hormone in the pituitary gland. After getting secreted, it then goes to the liver, which tells it to release IGF-1, which is an insulin-like growth factor, which stimulates cartilage cells, resulting in bone growth. It also helps with muscle growth. This can affect other body systems other than the endocrine system. It can affect the cardiovascular system because the GH acts directly on the myocardial growth during the fetal development because it induces mRNA expression for the specific contractile proteins. It also affects the muscular system because the GH administration provides increased muscle strength and reduces body fat. When the growth hormone is in lack, different diseases can occur like dwarfism. Dwarfism is caused by damage to the hypothalamus or pituitary gland, either during fetal development or following birth. Rarely, it is caused by mutagens in genes that regulates the GH's synthesis and secretion. Individuals are normal-sized at birth, but slowly have growth deficiency, which becomes evident after about 2 years. On the other hand, when growth hormone is in excess, it can cause rare diseases like gigantism. This disease results in excessive growth of fetal long bones and is very rare and not likely. Acromegaly causes patients to have swelling of the hands and feet, and it could cause some organ display enlargement. Now let's look at Kenzie. She seems like she doesn't have an excess or a lack of GH by her physical appearance, so now we'll need to do another test to see what she has. So let's do a blood draw. She's been fasting for 10 to 12 hours, so we are going to do it by blood draw. Now we're going to do the same with Bonnie and see what her GH levels are. The results showed that Kenzie had a GH level of 5 nanograms per milliliter, and Bonnie also had a GH level of 5 nanograms per milliliter. So that didn't give us any clue about who would be a better bachelorette. So that's all I have for you today, folks. Just remember, don't give growth hormone to ants, or else they will turn into giants.
Thanks, Brooke. It looks like we have a tight race between the two contestants. Both have a highly functioning hypothalamus.
Before we go on to our next hormone, let's take a quick break to talk about something very important in the endocrine system, cell signaling.
Ah yes, my favorite. There are 3 main steps in cell signaling. Reception, where the target cell detects a signaling molecule present in the exogenous environment. Transduction, the conversion of a signal to a form that can bring about a specific cellular response. Response, the specific cellular effect brought about by the signaling molecule.
Yes, without cell signaling, our cells wouldn't be able to perform the necessary actions we need to survive. Well, now let's go back to determining who the bachelorette is in this tight race. Let's go over to Reagan to take a look at one additional hormone to break the tie, oxytocin, popularly known as the love hormone.
Thanks, Rachel and Anisha. Okay, so now we've all been waiting for the oxytocin test. And yes, like they said earlier, it's the love hormone. But first, here's a little bit of background information about oxytocin. Oxytocin is a peptide hormone integral in parturition, milk letdown, and maternal behaviors that has been demonstrated in many different studies and is important in the formation of different bonds and social behaviors. It is also a neurotransmitter or hormone produced in the hypothalamus, like I said earlier, and from there it is transported and secreted in the pituitary gland. And it is called love hormone because it is important in different social interactions between people, hugging, and sexual interactions between two people. The hormone is increasingly recognized as an important regulator of human social behaviors, different interactions, decision making, evaluating and responding to different stimuli, mediating social interactions, and forming different memories, which is super important in determining our bachelorette because they need to be able to have these social skills. In addition, oxytocin is involved in a broad array of neuropsychiatric functions and may be a common factor important in multiple psychiatric disorders such as autism, schizophrenia, mood and anxiety disorders, which might not be super great if our bachelorette has any of those. And this is an example of how it is directly involved in the nervous system and also involved in the reproductive system with the different reproductive organs. So now, why is it essential that our bachelorette has healthy oxytocin levels? If the levels are too low, there could be a milk letdown reflex, which makes it really hard for breastfeeding, and it also could lead to depression if the levels are too low. It can also affect social behaviors and has been correlated with different depressive disorders and other things related to that. Too high of oxytocin levels, however, can trigger oversensitivity to emotions. And girls are already really emotional, so that'd be really bad if their emotions were way more heightened. Since oxytocin plays an important role in mental behaviors, it helps stimulate jealousy, which is, pretty important in relationships, but too much jealousy could be really bad, really bad, and also is important in discrimination and gloating. So if oxytocin is too high, then these mental behaviors can be elevated, which is definitely not good. Also, if the levels are too high, then stress responses increase, anxiety increases, and temperamental behaviors can be elevated, which could lead to a full-blown breakdown at any point in the show, but that makes for good TV. So we are back with Kenzie for another blood draw to test her oxytocin levels to make sure that they are at the normal level that they should be. And we are back with Bonnie to test her oxytocin levels to make sure that they're normal as well. All right, so our results are in, and we're gonna start with Kenzie. So after we got her test back for her oxytocin levels, they happen to be a little bit elevated, around 7.6 plus or minus 4.2 picograms per milliliters, which is a little bit heightened for a normal range. And with Bonnie, we got her levels back as well, and they're pretty normal, a little bit on the lower side, but pretty normal, around 4.5 plus or minus 2.6 picograms per milliliters. So right at the level we would like them to be.
So you're saying that I have higher levels? No, I don't!
Wow, now we certainly know who the better woman is for the job.
Congratulations to Kenzie. It looks like you are going to be the next bachelorette. We'll see you guys next week for the season premiere.